responses with propositions, which are pure scams. They're not even saying, thanks for the commentary, I will give you a link on the publication if you do X, Y, and Z. But what they're doing is they're saying, thanks for the commentary, we're not going to give you a link on this site, we'll give you a link on some other dodgy site if you give us a link on this site. So it's like a three-way link exchange with zero value.
What are we talking about today, Chris?
Okay, so we're seeing an increase in spam happening on some of the expert quote PR request platforms. So this was quite prevalent up until a few months ago. It seemed to have died off for a bit, but now it seems to be back with a vengeance.
It was kind of advertised for a while, right? I can't remember who it was. I don't want to call any names, but someone had a contest to see what the most out of the box link building strategy was. And someone submitted this idea on using journalist request platforms. And then I think it got a lot of attention after that, and a lot of people used it.
Well, I mean, it's a good idea. Yeah. And it's
a terrible idea.
Yeah. So essentially the way that it works is somebody posts a PR request, which is posing as a journalist writing for a publication, looking to source expertise with quotes, and then obviously the person submitting that quote, those expert comments, is hoping to be included in the article on a tier 1 publication, and then hopefully to be linked back to. So the promise of media exposure in exchange for giving up the time to come up with a quote, bolster and enhance the article which the journalist is working on. So far so good. But what we're seeing is, once these have been submitted to the quote-unquote journalist, rather than the normal course of events playing out, which can be no reply because the journalist doesn't like your quotes, that they go with someone else's quote, or maybe a response from the journalist asking for some additional information, asking for some checks on some of the points that you've made, or maybe some images, that sort of thing, which is very common. Or you don't hear anything and you end up finding a few weeks later that you've been quoted in an article and you've been linked. So what we're seeing is responses with propositions, which are pure scams. And what these propositions, they always tend to work the same way. They'll say thank you for the comments, and then they'll be proposing a link exchange.
You mentioned tier 1. I would say these are always tier 2 or at the most. You're not going to see like Homes and Gardens or BBC. You won't see any legitimate publications doing this. They're usually a little bit lower level sites.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I meant we're hoping to be responding to tier 1, and it turns out that it's not. It's not even tier 2. It's garbage usually. So what they're doing is, the way that they're getting away with this, or trying at least, is first and foremost they're making the query look very natural. It doesn't look scammy. The English is normally good, it's well formatted, but there are telltale signs. Firstly, they'll be hiding behind a nondescript publication. So in most PR request platforms or direct requests coming from journalists across their social media, it's really easy to identify and verify the publication for which they are sourcing commentary. Be it the journalist has outright stated this is the publication name, and you can easily check that just by doing a Google search for the journalist and the publication name, and you can see that they've got a profile on that publication. That means you're good to go. Or they'll clearly state that they're actually undergoing like PR themselves. Maybe they're doing a big PR piece for their client, and they're looking for additional commentary. Again, it's usually quite easy to verify the PR firm that they're working for, or the freelance writer. If they're hiding behind a domain that you haven't heard of, or a low-grade website, that's your first sign. I mean, we suggest that you don't pitch those sites anyway. But sometimes what you'll find is it can be the exception to the rule, where we do sometimes recommend certain sites when they're very niche relevant for a client, or they're a real genuine business. So I'm actually seeing this happening a lot. I think this is currently happening in the SaaS space. So someone's caught wind in SaaS that this is like a strategy which is working. If you've got a SaaS client, or you're in the SaaS business yourself, a SaaS link can be great because they're real businesses. They get heap loads of organic traffic, can be a great link, but they're operating these scams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you the sort of reply that you get, and then give you some tips on what you can do to avoid this.
And I think these are always their their link building team.
Yeah.
It's that's really something to remember. They're out there just trying to build a link. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And what's frustrating is, we don't engage in any of this sort of exchange. For us, it's pure editorially earned, and by earned we mean you're giving your time, your commentary, that's it. No exchange of payment, no link swaps, nothing. Just commentary for being quoted and being linked to. Now, these scams, they're not even saying, thanks for the commentary, I will give you a link on the publication which you think that this article was going to be put on if you do X, Y, and Z, which then, it's in your hands how you feel about that, it's fine. But what they're doing is they're saying, thanks for the commentary, we're not going to give you a link on this site, we'll give you a link on some other dodgy site if you give us a link on this site. So it's like a three-way link exchange with zero value and loads of traceability on what it is that you're doing. So
these, I think, as soon as you get this email, you should, maybe report it. But other than that, it's not worth going after.
100%, yeah. So you can see here, thanks for the reply. We have an author profile in, so different publication, and we're writing this article. So straight away, you've been done. You haven't been considered for publication that they've stated. In fact, that they're just undergoing and carrying out this scam. So they're saying they'd like to feature you in this article, and then they're asking for the favor, and then a bunch of other stuff which isn't even worth reading. So if you get to this point, like Nick said, like you said, delete, report. And the key thing to the success with this strategy ongoing is blacklist the identifiable telltale signs. So you want to know if they've given the name of the person, mark this down and keep records. So blacklist that. If you see again commentary from this person, it's automatically blacklisted. If they have put a domain, automatically blacklisted, so that you're saving yourself time. And obviously some of these platforms now, they're pay to play, paying per pitch. We don't want to be wasting our time spending money on pitching garbage scams. One final thing, another big thing people doing currently, they're listing sites that are just absolute lies. So they'll say Yahoo, maybe they'll say MSN, maybe they'll say Entrepreneur. What you want to do for that, like I said before, is just do a Google search on the person's name and the publication, because they will have written before, if they're a genuine person, for that publication, and they will have an author profile on the website.
Yeah, I think the 80-20 there is like, first, just don't pitch anything that doesn't seem legit. Like if they're hiding behind a domain, they're not mentioning the domain. If you don't know the domain, actually probably not worth pitching. And then as soon as you get this response, report them, block them, whatever, just move on, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Stay safe out there.